Holy drafts, both Fearless and NFL. This is Flight Check, Season 5, Episode 14. We're in the same season of this show that Shedeur Sanders got drafted in rounds in the NFL draft. Fifth round, fifth season. You hate to see someone with such a reportedly great attitude in the interview process fall so far. Look, this is a League of Legends podcast, but I had to throw some NFL shots.
Just sneak it in there real quick. It's fine.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks traded for Sam Darnold, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I'm still weighing how I feel on that one, if I'm being honest. Like, there's pros, there's cons.
All I'm saying is I think we need another Key and Peele, like, football name skit, because what the hell did you just say?
Well, Sam Darnold is a fairly generic white boy, which is...
But it's like the BYU one to end it off, to cap it off, you know?
My name, as always, is Sandy Toes. To my left and my extra left, Seahawks fan Knox War and apathetic football enjoyer Curly Double Q.
Bills Mafia, though.
Bills Mafia when it counts. Let's be...
When it matters.
Let's be fair and honest with our...
I am always Bills Mafia.
Yeah.
I just don't, put it outwardly. In fact, actually, I try not to think about them too much, because consistently, once I start thinking about them, they lose.
Which is interesting, because it's always right as they get close to the Super Bowl, you're like, oh, maybe they can do it this year, and you start thinking about them, and then they lose.
That does put a damper on things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's much like how as soon as 100 Thieves fans start saying that they're going to be good, they absolutely fall flat and get totally run over by a little team called FlyQuest. Heard of them before? We'll be talking about that tonight.
Is that an indie League of Legends team? I've never heard of them
India,
before.
Wow. There are
Independent.
Independent. I heard India, and I was like,
my bad.
I'm not about to bring in the India-Pakistan war that's brewing on the border there.
No.
No. We're getting into
although we can talk Mongolia later with the UG news.
We can.
But that's for later.
We can. We can talk the plains.
That's true.
We can talk Ulaanbaatar, Genghis Khan, Mongol hordes. I know a little. Cheers to you Mongolian knowers out there.
And most importantly, Yuji, of course.
This is true. It's going to be a good show tonight. I'm already feeling some good vibes. A little banter in our systems. I've been at work listening to ESPN a little bit more with all the draft stuff going on. And so I've been listening to a lot of the Pat McAfee show. And I'm always a little skeptical of him because he'll have Aaron Rodgers on. And for those who know about Aaron Rodgers, noted vaccine skeptic and ayahuasca enthusiast Aaron Rodgers regularly is on that show and has at times promoted some pseudoscience and quack doctorship on the show to millions of listeners and viewers. So I'm always a little careful, but I have been enjoying the banter that they do on their show, and I'm trying to emulate a little bit of that tonight. Group phase started for LTA North and LTA South. I don't really have anything to say about LTA South, but I'm sure we can look at those standings because there were some interesting things. We can talk about that a little bit later. But obviously, mostly to chalk went the results. Mostly 2-0s across the board, except for a humdinger of a best of 3 between Shopify and Dignitas that finally, after, honestly, what felt like centuries. Truthfully, after watching that best of 3, I now know what it's like to get out of purgatory. And,
Sandy has seen the light. He has escaped.
I understand.
Oh, my God.
I don't particularly subscribe to that theological concept myself, but for those of you who do, I think I now understand what it's like to leave that plane of existence and ascend to a better realm. the better realm in this case being not having to watch that best of 3 anymore. That was, truthfully, a banger, as we like to say. 100 Thieves dropping to FlyQuest, Disguised getting, honestly, put up a fight against Cloud9 here and
It
there.
was not a bad showing.
It was not a bad showing. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
take that Disguised performance on a different day, they beat Dig, they beat Shopify, they beat 100 Thieves? Maybe.
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 I don't know. At least the 100 Thieves that was playing on Saturday,
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah, question ping.
Oh yeah.
Team Liquid took down Lion Gaming. Lion Gaming, man, wheels have fallen off. I had hopes for this team, and they are not showing up. They are starting off group phase down 0-1 in series, 0-2 in game score. But I think like the big thing for me that really stood out this week, not so much like, oh, Disguised played Cloud9 close, oh, Team Liquid, looked pretty decent beating down Lion. It was the absolute smackdown that FlyQuest handed to 100 Thieves, and I think we're going to dedicate some, or at least a decent part of our time talking about it. Let's go around the horn a little bit, kind of catch up on the week. Knox, you were just telling us you played 10 games of pickleball yesterday.
Oh yeah, I went hard.
How are those quads
yesterday.
feeling? I know a quad in LCS who felt pretty good, but how are your quads?
Funnily enough, it's never the quads for me. It's the hamstrings and like my lats. My lats are what kill me the most. I'm just back stretches all day long. That is what kills me. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if that's what it's supposed to be when you play pickleball, but man, that's what's killing me right now.
Couldn't tell you myself. And then Curly, you were saying something about getting trapped in a D&D game for 3 times as long as advertised.
Yeah, no, literally. It was the penultimate session of this campaign as the DM has to go worry about job stuff and all that. And it was the last time we knew we could meet. And we had started the combat in the previous session and it had gone fairly slowly. And I was like, we need to finish this. So, hey guys, what if next time we meet around noon? And so we did. And I did not leave his house until 9 o'clock because this dude was summoning things. He was making it hard for us to roll. And we had to roll with disadvantage against the thing that was making us roll with disadvantage, which made it really ridiculous. Like the amount of things that were burned to try and disable this, I want to say it's easily like, I know 5 of us tried with our own stuff. And then there was at least 5 to 10, like more. It was probably at least 12 attempts at this using parts of our kit that we had to sacrifice to get this down, and it was a lot. But once we got it down, the dude was shocked. But anyway, it was a great session though.
That's fair.
Good time.
I had something to say to follow up here. Oh, you mentioned you used the word penultimate. I'm gonna make you guys. I don't know if this will make you mad, but hopefully it raises your eyebrows. Did you know? So penultimate, right? Second to last. There's a word for third to last, fourth to last, and fifth to last. Do you know what the fifth to last word is?
Fifth to because normally pen is like the prefix for like 5.
Well, yes, but not in this case. The word for fifth to last is, and stay with me, folks, pro-pre-anti-penultimate.
What?
So they just tacked on 3 more prefixes that all mean before. Anti, A-N-T.
Before.
Pre, meaning before. And pro, which I guess also means before. So the before ultimate.
But that's for 5 before.
That's for
and
five.
There's only 3 prefixes.
No, there's 4 prefixes because pen is a prefix.
Oh,
as well.
yes. Okay, excuse me. There's 4 prefixes,
Yes.
but it's on the 5th one.
Yes, because find the fifth to last word in a sentence, you would count backwards from the end of the sentence, right? So the ultimate word is the last word in the sentence. Penultimate, second to last. Anti-penultimate,
Now-
first to last.
So basically, what you're
Pre-anti-penultimate,
telling me
fourth
is
to
I
last.
used the word penultimate incorrectly for the last however long I've known
No,
it.
no, no. You were absolutely correct. Unless you're telling me that penultimate and you were using it as the last word, meaning last, not second to last.
It is the last session. There's no more.
Well, then penultimate, my friend, means second to last. So that means there's one more.
Linguistics with Sandy.
Congratulations.
Apparently, I need the lessons.
Well, we've all learned something here tonight. You know who has not learned not to talk trash before they get smacked? It's 100 Thieves.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah, or young men, I guess. Let's talk about this. Let's just get into it. FlyQuest takes down 100 Thieves. And frankly, a dominant 2-0. Game 2 especially was a beatdown. Thoughts on this series from you guys? Someone take it away.
I mean, Quad and Masu, my guys, really stepped up this whole series. Quad almost going deathless, aside from one sad, tragic death, one of 2 kills in the second game, and like having just some really, really amazing moments, especially at like the turning point of the game in game 1. Because even though game 1 at the end felt like we had been winning forever, we weren't. It was actually a little bit of a struggle there. Yeah. The ball was in 100 Thieves court, and they decided to send it back to us, or rather, we took it from them. You know.
Yeah.
But through and through, either side, Quad and Masu were really performing, which is really great to see because they've been a little bit quieter from what I've wanted to see this whole split. So I'm glad on the best of 3, they really stepped up.
100%.
Yeah. I think my tack on that I'll say for this series is that 100 Thieves really played how I've kind of touted them for. They played the whole split where they're not a macro-oriented team. They're very much like, hey, we're going to meet you at the objectives at these timers, and we're going to fight. And because they are, admittedly, a very, very good team-fighting team, they will oftentimes win a lot of these setups because that's what they're very proficient at. Game 2, however, I think is for the very first time, and probably the best time that I have seen this team officially punished due to them not being on proper macro timers, not on good rotation timers. Ayla was constantly a couple seconds behind. Same for Quid and Sniper whenever they were rotating lanes. And pretty much every single time, FlyQuest got a 2v1 or 3v2 punish. Like, it was just always in FlyQuest's favor every single time. So, with that said, I mean, if you could repeat that every single time versus 100 Thieves, awesome, because this is how they play every single time, man. If you can read them like this was a glorious game to watch. I felt like if you were a scout, like, the players took notes on everything that you wrote up for this team and they like executed it flawlessly, I'd be the proudest scout in the world right now. This was beautiful to watch. Interestingly enough, I do want to talk about the first game just for a second because they did have a bit of an early game lead against FlyQuest, and it was very much, again, the same strategy that they've employed in the past, especially down in Brazil, where it was very much River like implementing heavy early pressure against Inspired and kind of setting the team behind. The solo lanes were also very much in favor of Quid and not Sniper so much, but Quid had a fairly good lane phase against Quad in the early game, which allowed him to have a lot of early access and movements around the map. Eventually, what ended up happening, obviously, though, was macro ended up going in FlyQuest's favor, and team fights always don't always necessarily go in favor of 100 Thieves. So
no,
game 1 goes in favor of FlyQuest. Game 2, oh hey, took notes of all the scouting information and let it rip. Let's go. And next thing you know. Nice, easy 2-0. Cleanest game of the year, I would say, in my opinion. And I think, in general, I'm just super happy with how the series went. I thought it was great. I'm super happy with how the guys performed. And considering this was expected to be our hardest matchup, I'm kind of looking forward to... like who's even in our group again?
Our next one is Shopify. So
Shopify and Dignitas. So I'm not overly worried anymore. I'm very confident that what's going to end up happening, because I don't think TL is looking so hot right now. I think what'll end up happening is we'll get that playoff best of 3 versus Cloud9 for first seed versus second seed.
I agree.
I mean, no matter what, I would say we are getting an upper. Well, I guess it's not upper bracket, but I mean, I guess we're getting double elimination. Like, there's no world where we're over 5 or 6. So I feel extremely very relaxed about how group stage is going right now.
Oh yeah, honestly, make it week 7 already. Who needs to play out these?
I honestly, I thought about titling the show that. I thought about, can we skip to week 7? Because to me, frankly, besides maybe the Cloud9 and Team Liquid match that is in week 6, besides that match, everything else seems kind of like a foregone conclusion to me. I expect 100 Thieves to bounce back against Dig and Shopify. I expect us to beat Dig and Shopify. Dig and Shopify already played. I expect Disguised to lose out. I expect Lion to beat Disguised and lose to Team Liquid. And so it's really just that Cloud9 Team Liquid. So let's just skip to week 6. Call the results for next week. And then, which is, I think, is a little frustrating for me that things
we're a 2-man league right now.
That things are so chalky. It's just, I love doing pick'ems, Nux, and I know I whiffed on the Shopify Dignitas match this past weekend.
No, actually.
Wait, did I say Dig?
You did. You said Dig 2-1, and you got a lot. So you're actually tied for first place right now, by the way, Sandy. Did you know that?
Oh, it's only up from here, baby.
So no, you're doing very, very well in pick'ems.
I have continuously stepped down. Oh my god!
I thought I picked Shopify, and I was ready to, hat in hands, like, please, sir, have mercy on me.
You picked Dignitas 2-1. You got full points for it, so you're now sitting in first place along with Firestorm and Ricebox at 30 points.
Well,
oh my gosh!
Would you look at that? Well, that's great news. Okay, so if things continue to go the way I expect them to go, here's how things are going to line up. Us versus Cloud9. Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves. Lion versus Dignitas. Lion versus Shopify. And then Dignitas versus Disguised. In week 7. That's just how it's going to be. Lock it in.
Yep.
And
then you from there, you could probably conjecture what playoffs are going to look like.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say
basically
the Cloud9 FlyQuest one is still a little...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess fair. You can't really do a full playoff bracket. But the thing is, it's only hinging on one match.
Yeah. But then, I expect Lion to win their elimination match. I don't know. Well, so it'd be... I said Lion versus Shopify. Yeah, Lion wins that. And then Dignitas beats Disguised, I think. So, yeah, you have Lion versus Dig in losers bracket. We play either Liquid or 100 Thieves. I think we win those. And so, yeah, we just jump straight to round 2 and play Cloud9.
This is going to be the split of playing Cloud9, bro.
I think it's literally us and Cloud9 right now. Team Liquid just is not showing it to me. Which, there is news to talk about there, and we will get to it. Never fear.
That is true.
All right. I just want to, throw out a couple more bits and pieces from the FlyQuest match this week. Busio on the Rakan and Alistair combined KDA. Check this out. 1-4-29.
Oh yeah.
Across 2 games.
Oh yeah.
Dog. What a player.
He was cooking.
Absolute cooking. Masu as well. 8-0-8 on the Corki, game 1. 4-1-7 on the Zaya, game 2. I mean, Jan and Core JJ who? Zen and Vulcan who? like
They
this is a
showed up
bot,
big this weekend.
this is a bot lane. This is a bot lane
Yes, sir.
you can vote for. Masu president, Busio vice president. I mean, that's a better ticket than anything I've heard recently. Yeah, Quad
I'm here
showed
for it.
up, inspired kind of back to the usual picks: the Xin Zhao, the Sejuani. I did enjoy Whippo's Gragas. No longer in a drunken rage, of course, but a raucous rage. But he
Of
still
course.
was in a rage. AP Gragas, by the way. Absolutely incredible. Rod of
Yes.
Ages, Seraph's Embrace, Zonya's Hourglass. I love this build. Like, forget about Tank Gragas, who's only there for the engage. This is a guy who wants to beat you up with his beer barrel and call it a day. I love this build. I mean, how do you guys feel about, especially because, like, just looking at this comp, right? You've got Tank in the Alistair. You already have, you have some engage, right, with the Azir. You do have a little, you have engaged with the Alistair. There's a lot of engage on this comp. I really, really like this comp. You have Xin Zhao, who can do things early game. Corki comes online. Azir comes online. Gragas can do things. Engage across the board. I love this comp.
It's also a very juggle comp because like most alts can move people around or like have something that can move people around.
Yeah.
You got the cask, you got the crescent guard, you got the Emperor's Divide. Like you just chain that, the ADCs being bopped back and forth. The Alistair headbutt, like this dude's being juggled around, can't get anything off, and what the hell? I'm dead.
Yeah. No, it's so good. And then you've got the Corki movement, Azir movement, Xin Zhao has movement, Gragas has movement. Like, it's all so good. Really, really enjoyed this comp. Obviously, the Game 2 comp, a little more generic. Croc, Sej, Victor, Zaya, Rakan. But I still really liked it. Again, like, it's such a similar comp to Game 1 as well. If you look at it, like, you've got, okay, engage on the support and the jungler. Lot of critical damage coming out from the Zaya. The Victor can become a real late game monster. And then, I mean, Whippo showed up on that Renekton as well. 8-0-4. Just really doing the damage. I love... Do you know Curly and Nox? I don't know if you know, but like Spear of Shojin, I think was second on his build for Renekton. Is that typical? Because I see the Sterix gauge.
I wouldn't say it's typical, but it's not out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Spear of Shojin, I'm seeing it was third for Whippo. It was not second.
I apologize.
Yeah, you'd probably go Stridebreaker or Sterix, but it's still a really good item.
Yeah. No, I love him going for it. Okay, I do see the Stridebreaker now. Yes, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, I love that item third. That for his Renekton, that's so good. Yeah, this was a series that just really filled me with so much confidence moving forward. Like, yeah, it just feels so good. I want to get y'all's take because now I've been seeing it in pro play quite a bit. Didn't really show up in this series in terms of like, you know, good play. Contracts did really well on it in their game. So did Blabber against Disguised. Can anyone guess what champ I am leaning towards? Hint, hint. It's a real woof, woof, bark, bark kind of champ.
Nefiri.
The Nefiri coming out of, quite literally, the doghouse. This was a champ that got absolutely roasted, I recall, on release for being practically unplayable. And now here she is showing up in pro play. Contracts, obviously that series did not go the way they wanted it, but he looked so good on it. 7-0-6. He went Edge of Night, Spear of Shojin, Black Cleaver. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the order. I'm just on Lolpedia. Blabber, when he played it, He did a little bit different. He had like Eclipse, Death's Dance, Serpent's Fang, Black Cleaver. So you've got like options here for how you
Mhm.
want to play this. I'm also seeing Eclipse and Black Cleaver from River when he tried playing it. Yeah, I enjoy seeing new jungle champs come into the meta. You know, break up a little bit of the Xin Zhao Sejuani meta that we've kind of been running for a while. Pantheon has also become kind of typical.
There's a lot of just run in your
Yeah.
face champions in the
Run
jungle
at
right now.
you,
Is that-
run
Yeah.
you down kind of stuff. Do you guys think
Which
Just
like,
all
here's my
in all the
question for you
time.
guys. Do you think that's because that's easier for people to just kind of throw together in this new fearless era, where like previously we had to really fine tune and tech comps over time, and now it's just like we just need something that runs at you and runs you down.
I mean, it's kind of a tried and true, like, because a lot of pros will talk about how certain comps like we just don't have the practice on because there's very niche like setups that you need, and I don't know how my character necessarily interacts with like other of my teammates' characters versus like other enemy characters because you're playing fearless and they don't necessarily have the most common stuff either. And so a lot of times you kind of just fall back onto like what's the tried and true strategy of like, let me get something that can just go, brrr, let me run at them and just do damage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, I'm not surprised, especially when you start getting into later game drafts, that you start seeing more champions that kind of just run at you and just do stuff.
Mhm.
Right.
But because I mean, I think you did a comparison like game one versus game two. You'd see, I mean, you still see stuff like, um, the Azir popping up, your Talias are popping up, other kind of long range 80 carries, Ezreal, so on and so forth. Stuff that can kind of kite back. But then in the later game, you see a lot more things like Xin Zhao and other things that are just like, let me pop up on you, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's, if you were to do an analysis of that, I think that's kind of what you'd see, but that's also just kind of a guess.
I think that's fair. Curly, how about you? Any thoughts?
I mean, the easiest thing to do in League of Legends is to go in and not stop until someone's dead.
Hmm.
And you know, if you can do that really, really well, I think you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
What helps with that is characters that go all in and don't stop until someone's dead.
No. Yeah. That's very true.
And then if you want to be like all technical about it, maybe the fact that they tend to have higher mobility and high damage bursts, it also helps with their jungle clearing, so they can get rid of the jungle quicker, get to objectives, gank their lanes back, etc., etc., etc. But who cares about all that?
Totally. All right. Final thoughts on Team Liquid and sorry, Team Liquid. I'm getting ahead of myself here. FlyQuest and 100 Thieves. Before we move on to our next topic of the night.
I mean, I'm just glad that we were able to shut Sniper down for that embarrassment back in spring. I know we kind of already beat 100 Thieves, but like this was really a smackdown, and now I feel very vindicated. Retribution was given for the embarrassment of spring.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I was just proud with how well the guys executed game two. 100 Thieves was an open book at the like first grade level, easiest shit to read ever.
My ABCs. You know, they
Yes,
gotta
sir.
add more numbers in the 100. You know, they like put some more complex
Oh,
numbers in there. Throw a
Only
9.
100 there was what we got on our reading grade, baby.
Woo!
Easy, yay.
Read them like a
Hell yeah.
book. Heists canceled. All right. The breaking news of today, and it is mildly FlyQuest relevant. We were going to talk about it anyway, but it does become FlyQuest relevant. Yuji, the pride of Mongolia,
My
joins
boy.
Team Liquid. 6-man roster. Let it be said, FlyQuest, I think we actually called this on the show, that other teams would start to follow suit. Now that, you know, because Gakos, I believe, might now be here. They did the announcement. I don't know if that means he's here stateside, or if he's just like Discord calling in with the team during scrims and whatnot. But Yuji, fresh off of a win, by the way, with Maryville at NACE, I believe. over the weekend. Now joining Team Liquid as the sixth man, sharing the jungler seat with Umpty. Nox, how long overdue is this call up to the big leagues?
This is bare minimum, like a year. That's a bare minimum. He should have been on a team at least last year.
Got
I would
screwed by the
personally,
residency rules.
yeah, I got completely screwed by the residency rules. I would even argue that it's probably 2 years overdue. I thought he was prepped, not to say that he was going to be on a top team, but he was LCS caliber as of 2 years ago, in my opinion. He was not like a top tier LCS caliber jungler, but he was an LCS caliber jungler. So the fact that he's finally getting time, even if it's as a sixth man, I'm very, very excited for him. It's so freaking deserved. This man has been absolutely dominating in the NACL for the past couple of years. He's won most valued prospect twice now. I don't know how much more you really need to like do to like show, hey, I'm deserving of a spot on a tier 1 stage. The kid is good, and it sucks that you've already wasted 2 years of potential that he could have been training and grinding against actual LCS junglers in an LCS and LTA like environment. At least he's getting there now. I did hear a little bit behind the scenes that he was doing scrims a while back with Team Liquid, along with some other people that they were trying out. And I heard that he was probably far and away like the best player that they had that they brought up, and he was actually making a lot of good moves in those scrims. And Team Liquid was very, very happy with how he performed, which makes sense because they're bringing him on as a sixth man.
Yeah.
The question now becomes, I would say, how much are they going to use him? When are they going to use him? Best of threes are a great time to use him because you can kind of go game to game if need be. But is it going to be like primarily against, like, because who all's in? I cannot remember these stupid groups and who's where. So it's Disguised and Lion. Like, are they going to bring him in versus? I guess in this case, because they already play Lion, are they going to bring him in versus Disguise and let him play the full series? Are they going to just give him one game versus them? Are they even going to give him a game versus Cloud9? Are they even like? I'm curious to see how they want to use him. Right. So, overall though, I'm very, very happy. This guy, like him and Spirax, have been my two guys that I've been following for the longest time, along with Masu. But Masu's already with us, so I don't really need to talk about him in that sense anymore. But yeah, I've been championing this dude for ages at this point, and it makes me so happy to see him finally join a team.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good. Long overdue. Curly, your thoughts on UG finally getting the call to the majors?
I mean, we talked about him a lot when he was here at Fly Academy and Challengers, and then even when he was over on Maryville and now Dragon Sea. Like he is just always been impressing from the start. And like if you look at his history, he like only keeps getting like climbing with his teams. Last year, the lowest they got was second at domestic events, and this was both like with collegiate competitions, NACL. Like he was just really, really going up. So yeah, this is absolutely well deserved. And I've wanted this guy to get a spot for years now, just like Nox. And then along with Spirax, I'm hoping that the path to LTA will reopen for Spirax.
Yeah.
Because he's another player that definitely deserves to be up here. But I mean, I'm just also excited that we seem to kind of be able to expand on how we approach league competitively now, because with the 6-man roster, it's becoming a bit more sound. It was something I was very, very hesitant of. But once we consider the state of how league works now, with best ofs becoming a thing, or like full series becoming a thing, especially once we get into best of fives, it's going to be really, really good to have someone that can switch it up like this. And so the fact that has now potentially opened up another path for players, as we've seen with Gakos and now with UG, hopefully that just kind of makes a bigger scene overall for LTA.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, like I've said several times now, long overdue. I'm excited to see what he can do. I am going to be curious to see how they implement him. If it's right away, like this weekend, if they give it maybe until playoffs, that kind of thing. Additionally, I'll be curious to see if it's similar to like we saw with Flying Oysters at First Stand. Driver, I think it was Driver would come in for game 1, and then Rest would sub in for game 2, almost like every time. And then they would swap in and out depending on what their game plan was throughout the series. So I'll be curious if it's a similar situation where maybe Umti comes in for game 1, plays a particular champ, then UG comes in for game 2, they aim for a particular champ pool for him, go back and forth depending on how the series is going. So that'll be a development I'll be interested to see, similar to how I'll be waiting to see in Split 3 how FlyQuest begins to use Gakos alongside Bwipo. I, again, will say this is now the second team in the LTA to make a signing like this. Specifically, and I think I had heard, not rumors, but I had heard about this, coming up as a potential signing, and the impression I had gotten was that it was still kind of, the jury was still out as to whether this was going to be a 6-man roster or a total replacement for Umti. I think if they do the 6-man roster route, I think that's the right call here. I think it's way too late in the season. Not too late in the season, but like, let's say you don't like start UG until like Split 3, right? That's going to be like July. Right? So either you have to start playing him right away, or you have to kind of stick with Umti, right? Like, it doesn't make much sense to start UG in Split 3 when, like, last year it would have been mid-June, right? But then when summer split started, but now with the schedules all changed up, Split 3 doesn't start until mid-July. Mid-July is a very late time to like start fresh with a brand new jungler, a very critical piece of the team, obviously. Not Korean, obviously, so that like kind of hampers the the 4 Koreans plus APA move that Team Liquid had been doing. So yeah, I think like if you don't start him by Split 2 playoffs, I don't know when he's supposed to come in. Unless you start doing the 6-man roster thing in Split 3 and it's very consistent. He comes in for game 2 or Umti comes in for game 2. So I'll be very curious to see how they implement this. But definitely long overdue. What I hope is that one of two things happens. He performs so well that he just kind of supplants Umti as the main Team Liquid jungler. Or he performs so well that other teams take notice and they go, whoop, let's snap him up. And he finally gets a starting role on a team like he deserves to have.
Sounds like a win-win to me.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, honestly,
like, for you guys, would you rather he goes to another team? Well, okay, like he can't go to FlyQuest, obviously, but like if you're in Yuji's shoes, or you're his manager, his agent, whatever, like where are you leaning? Do you want him to stick with Team Liquid through next year, make that play for the starter role, or is it just like a play as good as you can for the rest of the year, and we'll get you onto another LTA team next spring?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always aiming for Team Liquid, right? I mean, they are a prestigious org in North America. They pay well. They have great facilities. They are typically always at the top of the game. You're always having good competition with them. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to try and stay on Team Liquid. Ideally, you want to completely take Umti's spot. I don't know how willing they're going to be to do that, but I mean, that's kind of like, even if you're never going to publicly say it, that would be my goals in the back of my mind, is I want that starting position for Team Liquid because of how well they take care of me, how well they probably pay me, and because you're going to be surrounded by other good players, you're going to find probably a decent amount of success. So I'm 100% aiming to be on that Team Liquid squad.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because if you're talking from the standpoint of the player, it's like Team Liquid is easily one of the 2 most well-established organizations in North American competition. Like, them and Cloud9 have been around quite like I want to say now 2 of the longest because of how many teams have left the door, and then there's Dignitas, but they've consistently stayed competitive through everything. And they've built up their resources. They've got good infrastructure. They've consistently had high quality coaches that come to work for them, high quality players that are able to be in their system. It's like, even though I always toe the line against Team Liquid, I do have to admit at the end of the day, they stay at the top of the game for a reason. And so that would be a more comfortable place for UG to be able to potentially grow, because the reality is most of the rest of the league right now just straight up doesn't have infrastructure or resources to uphold that. Dignitas, I don't really know what's going on over there. Disguise is still growing and getting on their feet, facing the potential of being relegated their first year. Granted, it's a bit early to call that, but we have to be realistic. 100 Thieves is in that provisional guest spot on the way out. So it's like, even if you get a really, really good leadership under Golden Glue, who's actually getting the most out of that team as I think he can right now, it's like, okay, at the end of the season, are you even going to have a team? So would that even be an option next year? And then Shopify is kind of shaky. I guess the only other one is if they're able to keep on this upward trend, maybe Lion would be a potential future spot for that. But yeah, overall, with the state of the league, Team Liquid is definitely, I think, the best shot for him.
Yeah, I think those are fair takes. I think you just play as well as you can for the rest of the year. Aim to take over that starting role come 2026. I think that's probably your best bet. All right. Let's look ahead to next week. Group stage week 2 preview time. FlyQuest taking on Shopify Rebellion in the first match on Saturday. So that'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern. Shopify Rebellion notoriously just lost to what's their names?
Dignitas.
Thank you. Tough times, right? I mean, is there any world where Shopify takes a game?
No. I mean, we too owed 100 Thieves as badly as we did, and the way Shopify's playing right now, there's just no. We have to have a massive.
So that I actually want to. Can we change this until why is Shopify so bad? Like, this is a team that, like, you look at them and you're like, B-Boy was good last year. Like, unironically, B-Boy was like a top half 80 carry in this league. Fudge has historically been a very good top laner. Contracts and Palafox, they went to quarterfinals at Worlds 2 years ago. Why is this team so freaking bad?
I don't know.
I struggle to understand it.
It was one of those things, like, Energy had their decline after pretty much all their staff were let go, and I was like, oh, that makes sense, right? Like, they don't have the supporting staff, they don't have all the scouting information and all the prep work.
Oh, the staff is gone. Like, it can't be that.
Well, no, it can't.
You got to get up on stage. You got to, like, take this thing, right? And you got to smash that QWER and click this mouse a bunch. And, the staff aren't doing that for them. They're up there on the stage playing those games. What happened?
And that's what I'm saying is, like, at the time it was like, oh, clearly that's what it had to be, right? But now it's like, okay, clearly it was not. It's something else.
Yeah.
And I hesitate because I love Palafox in contracts. I think they're both very fun players.
The vibe is so off there. The vibe is so.
I mean,
bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just see it in the cams. You can see it in the reactions. Even when they won, they weren't happy. Like, the vibes are just so bad on that team. It's so obvious.
I think I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I think some of it right now is like Shopify kind of just ended up in here off of the corpse of
TSM.
TSM. And
Yeah.
so first off, what a way to get into a league, you know? But I think they've just spent all this time kind of like just figuring out what they're doing. Because last year they got seventh place in both regular splits. So they were marginally better than some of the other competition, but ultimately not really. I think it's just I don't even know if there's a culture there. You know what I mean? Because that's another very important thing that I think affects how teams work is having an established culture. I don't think there is one because what does their coach history even look like? You know?
That's a good question. I'd
I
have
mean,
to.
it's been. I mean, at Shopify, it's just been Reven, and then at NRG, it was ThinkCard, but then ThinkCard kind of disappeared himself.
No, I'm talking about at Shopify specifically.
It's been only Reven from TSM.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's just not enough.
no. Like it's just unfortunately, it's like I think if Shopify want a chance of competitiveness, and they've kind of already started doing it marginally, is like they need to look into overhauling their coaching structure because I don't think the tank is really cooking that well. You know, Revan was able to, if you look at his history, he was able to get some things done in NACL with Cloud9 Challengers. And he was assistant to Max Waldo when Cloud9 was doing really well back in 2022. But with him at the helm, doesn't quite seem the same, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that as DeMonte is there, like I don't know how much he's been able to achieve so far. Clearly not enough. Because I've always felt that when DeMonte is on a team, the players do tend to at least look better, like
There is some
mentally.
effect he has for sure.
So I don't know if they're not letting him do enough, if either he's just got that much work to do, or like I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's strange for sure. Man, just such a like a. It's hard for me to look at that team and think that like this was supposed to be Fudge's like comeback year, right? This is supposed to be him showing
His
that
revenge of how dare Cloud9 drop me.
right. This was supposed to be Contracts and Palafox showing that they've still got it in the tank. I don't know, frankly. I don't know how any of these guys are in the league next year. Like, frankly,
Well,
if that happens, I'd be shocked.
so here's the thing you do have to consider a little bit is that the mid pool in NA is horrendous, right? So I would not be surprised if someone's like, "Hey man, there's no one else to pick up. Let me use Palafox." Don't get me wrong. I think there's other people you could probably pick up over Palafox and have a better return or ROI later on down the line. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone still pulls up Palafox for next year either.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to pull up the NACL teams right now. I mean, there's this like team called Near Airport, right? And they got this mid called Pobelter.
Could you imagine?
That'd be
No, but like,
ridiculous.
okay. I mean, like, sure. Let's. I mean, okay. There's Spirax on Dark Zero Dragonsteel right now. There is Insanity on Luminosity currently. Uh,
How many import slots is Shopify using? Any?
uh,
Bvoy
right?
is one, and Seos
No, Seos is
technically.
not
Sales
one.
doesn't count because of the
Well,
rules for LTA.
he's not a traditional import. He is a America's import, is what he is.
No, his residency is just America's. Oh, right. But yes. I'm sorry.
Because you can have North America versus like South America. So like
Yes.
technically,
Yeah, but
he's not a traditional import.
Yeah,
he's not considered an import slave, though,
I think
because
there's some new weird rule
yeah,
where you could have like two traditionally NA, two traditionally South American, and like one Korean on your team, and like that's okay. I think.
yeah, because it's still pulling from the same collective overall league that he has residency in, because we're a division of it.
But
We're not.
I think there is a limit to like LTA North teams have to have like a minimum number of like traditionally North American players.
Mm-hmm.
And LTA South teams have to have a minimum of traditionally South American players. I think. I just don't know the exact numbers on that.
I see.
Yeah. All right. Well, Shopify's collapsing. It's a real shame. I think we're all on.
They doing all right in Valorant though?
I mean, Shopify Rebellion Gold is doing good. They're 3-0. Let me check on.
Because that's the other thing. I've also found that like sometimes orgs that are like bridged between League and Valorant will do better in one and worse in the other one.
In the Challengers League Swiss stage.
Ooh, maybe Shopify is just struggling as an org.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be the Moist Moguls.
I completely forgot about that.
Remember?
Completely forgot. Yeah, I just remembered the Ludwig.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they had him like on broadcast over the weekend. I believe he had to co-stream that Shopify Dignitas series, if I recall correctly. Which, wow, no. He co-streamed Shopify Disguised the week before.
Yes, he was there the other week.
I apologize to Ludwig on behalf of the LTA. Some of his climb to platinum games were more entertaining than that game was. So, all right, enough trashing the rest of the league.
Yes.
Final thoughts on just the weekend overall. By the way, Bwipo, player of the week. We discussed his Gragas and Renekton performance. Any comments from you guys on Bwipo, player of the week?
I mean, the Gragas game was nasty. He had some absolutely disgusting barrels. And then on top of that, he was just an absolute force to be reckoned with in regards to the Renekton. Like, he just was not touchable on the Renekton. So, I mean, yeah, no, I 100% agree with the call on it. I think he actually just stomped everyone this weekend, and it's great to see Bwipo performing at such a high level. Granted, I don't think 100 Thieves was up to matching his level, so I'll be curious when he has a little bit more pushback than what Sniper was able to offer him. But no, great to see him perform. I love it. I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, it was great, for sure.
Yep.
Cool. I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we move to close things out?
Bring us to week 6, baby. Let's wrap this up.
Bring it to week 7. I want to see these seeding, these cross battles for playoffs, and then I'm ready to send it all the way to MSI.
Yep, I am. As you can tell, ready to close things out here on this group stage. That's for sure. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another great episode of Flight Check. FlyQuest takes on Shopify Rebellion this weekend, Saturday, 4 p.m. ET. Do not miss it. You can, if you do miss it, rest assured, you can follow us on Twitter for our reactions and thoughts so that you can know what to think about the game. We'll inform you, and then you just take your opinion from us. It's that easy. Nothing could be simpler. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SanctusTB, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. If you missed any part of the episode, VOD's going to be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and want to catch the show live, guess what? You are in luck. We broadcast the episode live right here on Twitch. Usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. You can tell I am sleepy because my voice pitch is going up and down.
I think that 5K into leg day just caught up with your brain.
I am ready to
like it just happened in the last 2 minutes.
pass out. Knox, any final notes, shoutouts, or plugs before we wrap up?
I'm going to give a shout out to The Pit.
Yes.
This show.
I've not finished it, but so
I'm
good.
not. I'm only on episode 5, but
Ooh, that's
as an ex-paramedic, dude, I know everyone's already been saying how accurate the show is medically, and there are some things that are not quite right, but it is like 95% of the way there, dude. I feel like I'm back in the ER. I feel like I'm back on the ambulance. I feel like I'm back in the firehouse. It's traumatic in some ways, and in others, it's like, fuck, man. Or excuse me, it's just, I miss it. I actually really do miss it in some ways. I've been reliving. You can
always go back.
We'll see.
The call is waiting.
Yeah, but I'm reliving my 2017 through 2020 20 years for sure. There's a lot packaged into that show, man. It is so freaking good. I will say, if you were squeamish about gore or anything, this show does not hold back.
No.
The first 15 minutes, there's a degloving, and it's probably one of the most gruesome things that you can ever see. Yeah, it does not hold back emotionally or gore-wise. So
I tend to look at my phone frequently throughout the show. I'm just like, yep, I'm not going to look at that.
Yeah, there's some rough stuff shown, but it is very, very accurate otherwise, man. It's such a good show. The characters are really that is how they act in the ER, every single one. It's just so spot on. It's so good. Please go watch it. It's on HBO Max.
It is on HBO Max. Excellent shout out, Knox Ward. Curly, Q, how about you?
I mean, dang, I don't have anything quite as huge. I don't know.
Sorry, it caught me last week, man, and I've just been on it since.
Ooh, you did some Marvel Rivals stuff recently, right?
I don't want to talk about that game.
I don't want to talk about that game.
Yeah, I did stuff. I found out that I'm a pretty good Groot. Still not going to play it any more than I did on Thursday. That's it. That's all my Marvel Rivals experience. I was so good that I played it. I picked it up that tournament, and it got permabanned against me the rest of the tournament. So I guess shout out to my team in that tournament for trusting me, picking up a hero on a freaking whim and making us runners up for that. That's what I'll do. And then actually, no, I will talk about it because shout out to my esports program, BWU Esports, and my director for putting together that whole thing, because it was part of this whole streamathon that I'm hoping next year they put on Friday, not Thursday, because that'll be way easier for me to maybe actually try to participate in it. That's a whole different thing, because we're coming to the end of our season because school's about to be over. So shout out to that. The directors put in a lot of great work, and then my students and players have all really grown a lot this season. And so I'm very looking forward to the summer break for that and getting ready for next fall. So yeah.
Nice. My shout out is going to be
how hard you killed it in your 5K that you ran.
Sure. I mean, it could be that.
No, I'm kidding. Whatever you got.
Is going to be to a game. It is a mobile game. Bear with me.
Oh.
It's a mobile.
Sirens. They're going off.
It's a game called Hoopland, and if you like basketball, this game is so good for realistic basketball play on your phone. It's all pixel based, but high quality pixel. The gameplay is really good, And the reason why I'm shouting it now is because ever since the game launched, and I picked it up like a year and change ago, people have been clamoring for a career mode. You can only play like franchise or commissioner mode before. Now you can play career mode. You play all 4 years of college if you want. You can declare for the draft early. You get drafted. There's no actual NBA. People have made custom NBA leagues that you can upload. Part of the cool thing about the game is that, like I just mentioned, people can make custom teams and leagues. So, like, I've made a league that I'm, like, slowly watching evolve over, like, years. I've made, like, a bunch of custom teams for it. The San Antonio Stallions and the Atlanta Flames,
okay.
the Montreal Monarchs, stuff like that.
Interesting.
And it's a lot of fun. Career mode just came out last couple weeks. I've been playing it. What college? The Portland Hops in Oregon is my team. I'm a freshman with them, playing small guard or shooting guard. And it's a lot of fun. So go check out Who Planned. Not a paid advertisement. It's just incredible game. The developer, very responsive, very interactive on Reddit. You post a bug, he'll fix it in the next release. He's really, really great about it. So
Hey, I'm just saying, I'll start playing if we get sponsored.
absolutely. You got it. All right. That's all for us tonight. We'll be back next week to talk about FlyQuest and Shopify and the results of week 2 of the group stage. But for now, we'll ask you to stay safe out there and bite your teeth. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.